Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. So, I feel pretty good about the guitar parts that I recorded, the new ones, the little extra bit, the on the E string, and on the little solo bit that happens after the after that bridge part. There's a solo, a quick little solo, and then the end of that bit I reuse at the end of the song on the last chorus. It's a double chorus. I'm going to put that in just to liven things up towards the end, and then it returns back to the original riff. I'm going to leave the mic where it is in case I decide that I want to add something or change something, so that it'll be, you know, the same. Everything will be the same, like the distance will be the same, and the whole setup will be the same, so I can come in and edit it in if I needed to. But I think I'm okay, you know, following the dictates of what I've set out before, to record it as well as I can, play it as well as I can, you know, at the skill level that I am right now. And there's like some kind of inherent sloppiness into the whole thing, but I think as a whole it ends up working. Like once I get it all assembled, it usually sounds, you know, together enough to where it's not like noticeable that it's a one-man band or that I'm not like the greatest player in the world. So I feel okay. I'm actually excited because the tones were good, and I want to show you how I do the post-production work. And I've been using Audacity, and I wanted to add that a while ago I had heard some bad things about Audacity, like it was like a spyware type deal, or like they were mining information. I don't even remember exactly, but I do know that people have concerns about using free software like that, just, you know, privacy concerns and stuff like that. Or just the idea of like being spied on or whatever might be annoying to someone. So if that's the case, what I do with Audacity and with any other program that's going to communicate, you know, via the internet, if there's no reason for it to communicate with the internet as far as it working as a program, I use a program called radio silence to you know, eliminate the communication between the computer and that program when it's sleeping, you know, like it's always communicating or whatever. And when you're using it, you know, it could be sending data. So this radio silence program makes it where you're using the program, but it's like, you know, it's not going to be sending anything to anyone. So that's what I have, and I just added Audacity onto the list of programs that don't send data out. So that's the way to get around that if you have any concerns about using the free software. You might also have concerns about using it because you've, you know, used other software that works better for you. So these ideas translate to any software. I'm just using Audacity because it's easy for me, and this computer is really old, and luckily my wife and I just placed an order on a new 16-inch version of this. This is the old 17-inch version, but this computer literally dates to 2009, and I've been trying to like do all these videos and all this stuff on this computer, which has been quite a feat. And I was waiting for this new one to come out because they came out with a 16-inch, I guess about a year or two ago, but it had that touch bar thing, and I read bad things about that, and I kept hearing they're going to put out the next one, so I was waiting. And plus they're really expensive. Like it's like almost $3,000 to get one of them, and so it's taken a while, but now I'm finally going to order it. And I mean, I ordered it and I'm finally going to get it, and that's going to improve things a lot. The videos will be better, and who knows what I'll be able to do. Maybe I'll try some new software with that new setup, because this machine just, you know, can't do much anymore. It's been an incredible machine, but it's running down. And this is the second one of these I've had. I bought this one a couple years ago to replace the one that I had since 2009. Alright, so I'll show you what I do, and I'll show you how to do this with the Zoom, how to get out from the Zoom into your computer, do whatever you want, and then go back into the Zoom again, which is really cool. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is you take the little USB cable here, and it has one sort of end for the machine. And so when I connect it here, I'm going to then take this USB end and attach it to the computer. Cable's all knotted up. So that goes there. Now, on the machine, you're going to want to go to USB And when you see reader, you're going to hit reader, and then you'll notice it takes mine a second. Like I said, there's like a delay on everything. Boom, it comes up. I'm going to open that and open the project. Go looking for, scrolling down for witching hour. I just wrote it as witch O. They only have so many spaces to put numerical and alphanumerical stuff. Okay, so now I just drag, it was number 7, 007, mono 007. I just drag it right to Audacity, wait for it to open, and there is our track. And it looks really good. So I don't think I'm going to do much here. I can't remember exactly what I did here. So usually what I do is just play it, make sure it sounds good, and it sounded really good. Like, make sure it's not out of phase or anything weird like that. So everything was good. Now I used to do noise reduction, but I've stopped doing that just because I don't think it was helping. And every once in a while I felt like it was like squeezing things. I can't even describe what I'm talking about, so I cut that out. And now I just go right to classic filters. I'm going to cut this off at 100 hertz. And you just see I just typed in 100, and you can see the slope there, you know, the waveform. And then I apply it, boom, subtle, but does clean things up. Gets rid of any muckety muck. And so it sounds good. So now I'm going to take these gaps here and just make sure there's no sound, you know, like trailing off here that's important to keep. But I want to silence this space here because there's, you know, when you turn the guitar on, you know, you hear the amp noise and all that, or just the noises leading up to executing the part. And I don't do it in the beginning or the end. I want to leave those until the end just to make sure I'm not cutting off anything. But I do it in these gaps here where I would be waiting my turn on the take and then making noise by, you know, starting up a few seconds before I'm supposed to execute. So I just erase all that. Okay, then that's pretty much it at this point. I don't do much anymore. I just go from there and export it as long as it sounds good. And I don't think I amplified this as well. So I'm going to title it Guitar Opener. And it's important to come up with good titles because once you get done here and you go back into the Zoom, you'll forget which one's which and all that if you don't make it kind of like somewhat specific. At least that's the way I have to roll. Everyone's different. Alright, so now I'm going to the next one, which is number 8, mono 008. Dragging that into Audacity or whichever program you desire. Do your thing on it and retitle it, drag it back. Alright, this one looks really good. This is the main guitar rhythm thing that runs through the whole song. And I don't think I boosted this or amplified it. Here I am testing it just to listen to see what we have. Make sure it's a good track, and it's quite good. All this stuff sounds good. Those Lawler pickups just really record well. Okay, so now I'm going to just silence those gaps. Actually, I bet I forgot. I'm just testing this one now because I bet I forgot to do classic filters. Yes, I did. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to go to classic filters, cut it off at 100 hertz, just like the last one. Cleans it up. Silence these gaps, you know, just to make sure there's not a bunch of noise, like just the sound of me getting ready to, you know, go to the next bit. Guitar noise and just sounds that don't need to be there. So you go to generate silence. The shortcut is, I think, Command L on this, but I wanted to show you, you know, exactly what it was I was doing in the video. Okay, then let's see, I'm just playing it here for some reason. Let me see what happens next. Playing. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Waiting for it to end. Okay, I thought about silencing this section, but then I decided not to, mainly because I don't like to silence the beginning in case there is some kind of sound that I don't want to get rid of yet. So you can see that I undid it. It's quite easy to undo things if you make a mistake. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing with this one, export it out. This one I titled, I think, Main Guitar, Main Strum. So that just lets me know that runs through pretty much the entire song except for the moments where I have the riff that opens the tune. Okay, now we go to mono 009. That'll open, hopefully, once I drag it into Audacity. And I just like doing that, just go straight in. Okay, so this is the solo bit. Just testing that to make sure that's okay. That's actually not the solo, that's just another one of the riffs. And just testing here, make sure everything's okay. Looks good. Sounds really good. The sound is quite good on these recordings. It's a simple setup. You don't have to worry about phase with the one microphone. So I was happy with that. Okay, let's see what I do here. Okay, I did nothing here. That's interesting. I don't think that I found any reason to do anything. I just liked the way it sounded, the way it was. I didn't want to mess anything up. So that literally, and it's such a small little riff that now I'm going to 10, and I'm going to see what this one has. I think, yeah, this has the solo bit, and then it also has the outro solo thing. It's basically the second half of the solo that's done on the second chorus. So this one sounds good. I thought about just taking the second half of this and amplifying just that section, mainly because I wanted to make sure that the solo had like that, the part where I'm doing the unison bends had plenty of sustain. So I was kind of, you know, making sure that was okay. So I took that section and amplified it 3 dB, but I ended up deciding that the entire thing, it would just be easier and more effective to just completely do the entire thing at 3 dB, which is what I did with this second one, and then I went back and fixed that one. It just made the entire thing boosted by, so you can see I do it here, just this second, the first part, so that now they're both boosted by 3 dB. And I don't think I'm going to double these tracks just because I'm getting enough, you know, I'm getting a robust tone. And the fact that it's really interesting, this is a clean recording, and in other words, it's more of a clean tone out of the amp. I don't have any like much natural dirt, just, you know, a little bit. But it's a cleaner tone that you get out of the Fender, and it really is easier to capture the tones when you don't have all that mid-range kind of eating up the middle of the song. Okay, so right here I'm silencing that gap. In other words, the drums are more, they're cut through much clearer. Everything is easier to achieve because you don't have that massive like mid-range presence that you have with some amplifiers. And some tones. Okay, so now I'm exporting this number 10 here. Let's see, what did I do here? Why am I doing this? Okay, yeah, exporting now. This one I retitled Guitar Solo. I should have written guitar so that all the tracks would be in the same spot. Since I said solo, it's now going to bury that all the way down in the S's instead of a G. Instead of the G, so that was kind of a minor mistake. I'll probably go back and fix that later, because then I'll forget when I go to reassign, you know, where that is, because it's not called guitar solo. It just is called solo. So I get confused and start like losing track sometimes if I'm not careful about, you know, titling things. So now I'm taking all the tracks that I have done that are sort of scattered about on the desktop, and I'm going to now drag those into the Zoom. So, and that one is not correct. I'm dragging that back because that's not one of the things I worked on. That was actually the solo when I was practicing it at home. I recorded it just on the computer. And you know, I'm going to go back to that guitar main strum and just make sure that I didn't boost it. I started thinking, I hope I didn't amplify that, and I did not, so that's good. Okay, so then I'm just going to drag these in to the Zoom. For some reason I'm checking this one as well. Oh, maybe I decided that I wanted to amplify. Yeah, I decided to amplify the opening riff by 3 dB just to make sure, because I don't think I'm going to, a lot of times I'll double these tracks and I just didn't see any need to double it because, like I said, I'm not having to overcome a lot of mid-range information from the guitar. It's a cleaner tone. It's much easier, so I just replaced that file there. It's much easier to mix because you don't have all that mid-range, extra mid-range. Leaves a lot of space for the drums, and I'm assuming the vocals too when that's time to do that. Okay, so now I forgot to pull all these tracks in. So now I take each one of these tracks after I've recorded it and they're sitting on the desktop. I'm going to open the audio so I don't put it in the wrong spot. You got to make sure you don't put these tracks in the wrong spot or you won't be able to find them and you won't understand what happened. So just make sure they all go into the audio folder, and you can see that I'm dragging that one in. I'm going to drag the rest of them in. Let me just quit this. So once you drag all the tracks into the folder, what you want to do is pull the icon off so that you release it from the computer. And then what I like to do is go ahead and assign the tracks so you don't get confused. So what I'm going to do here is actually, you know what? I'll bring the camera forward so you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. But what we're going to do, pretty simple. I'm going to go to track. Well, I mean, it's not that simple if you've never done it before, so don't think that you're dumb if you haven't figured this out yet, because it took me a minute to sort of sort out the Zoom sort of, workflow. Okay, so if we're in track 1, I can already see what mine is because I've already assigned it, but let me just show you what to do. So you're going to go, I'm going to hit exit, you're going to go to track. Alright, so the track 1 says guitar opener, and that is the one I want. So if I had wanted something else, I would hit enter, file. Okay, and now you can see guitar opener is there. Now if I wanted to choose, say, mono 10, I would just scroll down like that and hit enter, and it would now say mono 10. I'm going to go back, obviously, and re-choose the one that I had, guitar opener. Okay, and then the same thing goes for the next 4 tracks. And then you go to guitar 2, it says guitar main strum, track 3, guitar riff, and then finally solo outro. So these first 4 tracks are all guitar. And let me show you once again. You're going to hit enter on take, you're going to go to enter on file, and then when you go in there, you'll see that it says solo outro. If you wanted to choose anything else, you just kind of go through the up or down arrow keys until you find the track you want. You hit enter, and then you hit exit, and it is now assigned. And as long as you have your track lights on, that track is active and running. And you will notice that it sounds different from how it sounded on the original tracks. And I keep all those original tracks if I ever want to go back and do anything post-production wise. I'm going to go back to that original track, not the WAV file that I have created. One other thought is that since we're 16-bit, or at least I am, because I use all the effects and stuff, so I'm 16-bit, 44.1. If you use the effects, you're stuck in that kind of realm. So I make sure to output on 16-bit, because if you output on 24-bit and try to go back into the machine, it will not recognize the track. It literally, you'll put it in, you'll see it go in, and then when you come here, it just will not exist. And so you have to make sure, even if you've recorded it in 24-bit, you're going to have to come down to 16-bit. Or if, say you get, say you're working with someone else and they're sending you their files, if they send you 24-bit files, you're going to have to convert them to 16-bit on your computer in order to get them into here, because and maybe somebody out there knows how to get around that, but I cannot find a way to make 24-bit appear in the tracks when you bring it in. You got to make sure it's in 16-bit. It's got to be in WAV file format as well. And so then once you get it in here, you've got like a whole new thing to work with. Especially if you do a lot of changes, if you do EQ, or just there's so many things you can do. I've just distilled it down to a few things, because my main trip now is recording it exactly the way I want it to hear, as opposed to making mistakes in the recording or getting things not quite right and then trying to go in and fix it in the post, and that, if that's your only choice, that's what you're going to do. But if you have a chance to retrack or just try to get it right in the first place, I think you get better results as opposed to like getting a mediocre recording and then trying to carve granite out of bird shit. That's hard to do. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to move on to bass. I'm excited about that, and I want to come up with something good. I always feel like I give the bass short shrift, and I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I come up with something good. And I'm thinking like driving eighth notes, just because the song has like this sort of forward percussive kind of feel to it. I'm thinking to keep it driving. I'm going to do that. All right, we'll see. I'll start working on it tomorrow, and if I get enough progress, I'll come in here and try to track it. All right, next time.